The Indianapolis 500 is more than just a race. It's a legend, a cultural icon. For those that compete, a hunger.
This is, and always will be, the greatest spectacle in racing.
I started drinking at 6 a.m. We're here now. I don't know what time it is. But I'm rolling deep. And those cars are going real fast. Real fast.
It's 500 for everybody to see. Ready right here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indianapolis 500 podcast, a Borg Warner production. This is your host, Bear-Lents, and we have a very interesting few days ahead of us as the Indianapolis 500 begins on Sunday, May 24th. Tomorrow is Legends Day, and today we had a jam-packed day where we had practice number 8, and this is the last practice of the entire Indianapolis 500 slate, because tomorrow's pretty much a day where a lot of drivers are going to rest. Tomorrow's the day where not only a lot of drivers are going to rest, but it's also the day that a lot of drivers get to basically have one last time of leisure before the Indianapolis 500, which we are 48 hours from the greatest spectacle in racing, as the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500 is this Sunday. And today was the legendary Miller Lite Carb Day. The clouds were out, of course, and I do remember seeing that the temperatures were in the low 60s. They were very cold even in my jurisdiction and in my neck of the woods in southern Indiana. And all 33 drivers hit the 2.5-mile oval track for 1 hour, final 2-hour thrash to dial in their race setups. By the time the checkered flag waved on practice, there was a massive 2,169 laps that were in the books today, which was actually the most since practice 1 and practice 2 all the way back in April and going into May. Sitting right at the top of this practice was Joseph Newgarden, who today had a very impressive showing. I thought he looked the best today. He looked pretty much the best at the pit stop challenge today. He looked very off. His team looked off. I'm a little worried about his team. Graham Rahal had a great carb day today. He had maybe one of the best pit stop laps that we had seen in quite a while. We'll get to more of that in a bit, but Joseph Newgarden got upset by Ryan Hunter-Reay, and that was very, 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 very intriguing to watch. And I would say Joseph Newgarden's team really has to clean a lot of that stuff up, because you don't think Penske would ever have a bad pit stop challenge for that particular day. Of course, I did not watch all of the pit stop challenge. I watched only a few parts of it. The Wienie 500 was very intriguing. The commentary was very sus. Let's just say that. It was sus. I mean that in an inappropriate way. That was my first time ever watching the Wienie 500, because you have to remember, last year I went to Bump Day, or last year I went to the Indy 500, not Bump Day, I went to the Indy 500 last year, and I didn't even have the opportunity to even watch that, because we were jogging our way to the race, not walking our way to the race, but we were jogging our way to get to our hotel, which was maybe one of the best parts about that day. It was so packed. Everybody was there. It just felt like there were maybe 200,000 people on the sidewalk. It was insane. But the fans, of course, got a treat out of the Wienie 500, as we're going to get into this now, and then we'll get into more stuff here in a bit. The Wienie 500 was interesting. There was one really big turn of events that could have completely reshaped this race, and it didn't happen. And so New York Dog won the race, apparently. If you're a sicko like me, you'd love to hear news like that. And if you betted on it today, congratulations, you just won a lot of money, because I bet that wiener was not, I don't even like wording it like this, but that wiener was really fast today. Sorry, I had to do that. Sorry, I had to do that. It was pretty bad, the commentary. But other than that, I mean, interesting race. I mean, what more do you have to say? It was a classic. And New York Dog because of the Indiana Pacers. They booed him at the end, and the two drivers won the race, and they didn't even show the Borg hot dog trophy or whatever it is, because the whole racing world pretty much today and all of today, tomorrow's Sunday and Monday, if there's a race Monday, is continuing to mourn, including myself, is continuing to mourn the loss of Kyle Busch. So we're going to have a hard weekend this weekend. It will be a hard Sunday for sure, which is why I'm hoping rain. I'm not a fan of rain for the Coke 600, but this I sort of understand because it is too much to get your drivers out there driving. And the worst part is they'll have their nationwide race tomorrow, and then Sunday, bet they have a craftsman race or something before all this. But they're just getting their feet wet, and regardless if it's on Prime or not, it's just too emotional to watch that right now. I'm even halfway emotional by it. It's very upsetting, and seeing him go so soon is still something that really tugs at the heartstrings. It does, and it just really I'm so happy for his kids though. What made me feel easier about it is that his kids got a chance to see their dad on their birthday. And the other thing is that if you know a little bit about medical stuff, it seemed like he was already having an illness 2 weeks before that. And then he drives in the Craftsman truck race and knows that it's going to be his last ride. And then he passes away yesterday. And it's just very hard right now as a race fan. That's why the mood isn't so up on this podcast today. And it might not be throughout the whole weekend. We just, in a way, want this weekend to be sort of over because we want to celebrate Memorial Day, yes. I mean, celebrate the freedom of our country and celebrate the veterans who fought for our nation and who have passed and died for the right to protect our country. And that is super important and everything. But the whole racing community, and like I said, the military is way more highly sought after than the racing community. So this is not a comparison to that. We respect our men and women, and we thank you for your service. If you're listening to this podcast, we absolutely thank you for your service. You've probably experienced more losses than we ever could in a heartbeat. And we salute you for that. There's a lot of homeless veterans out there too. A lot of homeless veterans. We need to salute them as well because they fought for our country and they fought tooth and nail just like everybody else did. Not to say that that's bigger than Kyle Busch, but in some ways it is. And in a lot of ways, we just as normal Americans are just mourning and grieving the loss of Kyle Busch still because it was so unexpected. It's like a gut punch, a big, giant gut punch to the chest because you just didn't expect it. You just never expected it, and you never expected him to go the way he did. And the whole racing community has dealt with this so much death, especially in NASCAR, where the greatest drivers and the men that are good in the league always suffer the most consequential deaths. And it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. Tugs at the heartstrings, for sure. But really, the mood's going to be a little dampened this year. Let's just say that. And we should respect our military, and we should honor our military. But there'll be another person they're honoring at this race too, and we have to respect that as well. If you're a racing fan and you didn't even hear about the news, I really don't know what to say, except you will find out at the race if he passed, and you may have a hard time with it. And if you do, I'm really sorry if you were a racing fan of his, or if you weren't. But if you didn't love him, you either loved him or hated him. But you knew he was the greatest driver of all time. Two-time NASCAR Series champion, and multiple. He's the winningest driver in the history of the Craftsman Truck Series. He's won more Craftsman Truck Series races than nationwide and Sprint Cup races. But he's one of the greatest open-wheel drivers to ever endure the roads on not just normal U.S. highways, but also on the racetrack. And he was an entertainer, a showman, a true, genuine man. And we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him very much. We did a moment of silence yesterday. I even had to pause halfway because I was crying. I'm sorry for those that listened yesterday, but it was too much. It just became a little too much to bear yesterday. And I didn't care about Stephen Colbert or the New York Knicks. I just cared about that family and all they had to deal with. And it was just a hard night last night. Let's just say that. Very hard night for a racing fan like me. But on the lighter side of things, we do have racing this weekend. Whether you like it or not, it's going to be very fun. Yet the mood right now is dampened. But for those that are excited, I mean, we don't want to be so dampened that it's like, oh, look at Braden, he's dampened. It's like, no. Don't word it like that. We're excited for the race. As I said earlier, Joseph Newgarden will be starting all the way back in the 23rd position. But the two-time Indy 500 champion had a serious race pace. He topped today's session at a blistering 228.342 miles per hour, while he led the Monday shortened race that was delayed by rain. And when asked about Newgarden was cool as ice, basically saying that today is Friday and Sunday is the day that really does matter. But if he does pull this off and if he does win this race, he'll be the first driver since Johnny Rutherford in 1974 to come back from down 25th in the poll standings to basically winning the 500 this year. And behind him in this practice session today was Christian Rasmussen in second place, followed by David Malakis in third, and Connor Daly in fourth, who kept a consistent month of May. He's had maybe one of the best month of Mays that we've ever seen. And those are the drivers that rounded the top five. Connor Daly, to me, is looking like a premier Indy 500 winner. He is. He's looking like he could do it this year. If I were to put money down, I'd put money down on him and 5 other drivers. You don't want to lose your bet. So put money down on 5 other drivers and see where they go. And so it's going to be really fun. Really, really fun watching Connor Daly race this weekend. He really is an intriguing driver. Last year I remembered him at Junico Racing. This year he's with someone else and it's completely changed. It's really changed this year. And I think Connor Daly's turned a corner and will be the first Hoosier to win since 1941 if he can pull it off. But he really had the best month of May that I've ever seen a driver have. And last year, you have to remember, he led around lap 150, and then after that, it just completely fell apart. This race is going to be a really tough race to win. 2.5 mile track, 200 laps. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And that's one thing you can understand for sure, especially when Alex Palou was racing last year. I had no idea he could even catch up to the front, but he did. And you may find that a driver like Catherine Legg or a driver like Kyle Collette is really going to... Kyle Collette. That's what I'm thinking. Kyle Collette. But one of those drivers could do it. Even Stingray Robb could do it. Even if you don't want him to do it, even if he's not the heavy favorite to do it, you just want to make sure that a driver like Catherine Legg or someone like that could really pull off the stops and maybe win this year. You want to see it because that's America. That's our life. That's like in March Madness, we're tired of seeing a bunch of 16 seeds lose to 1 seeds, or a bunch of 15 seeds lose to 2 seeds. Or we haven't had a single 15th seed advance to the Sweet 16 since the St. Peter's Peacocks in 2023. So you want to see stuff like that. You want to see Cinderella stories. But Alex Palou, speaking of him, he clocked in at 6th place today. Palou is going to be possibly the 7th driver in history to win back-to-back championships this year. And honestly, the guy owns Indianapolis right now. And if you even walk around downtown, his face is on giant billboards across the JW Marriott Hotel. And his 2025 winning car is set in the museum. It's just wild to think about that from 6 years ago in 2020 when he was just a rookie sneaking into the room. At that moment, he's going from rags to riches and being on the JW Marriott Hotel, signing a life-changing contract with Chip Ganassi Racing. That's a full circle moment. That really is. It's a very full circle moment. And then it's very full circle moment for drivers like Graham Rahal, as Rahal today had a massive pit road redemption today. That arc is really going to stretch all the way to the race day. And I think Graham Rahal, he's very chipper right now. He's very chipper right now. His team worked so well on that pit stop challenge that I think it's going to set up momentum for him to maybe finish in the top 10 is what I'm thinking. He's just got this different juice to him that he didn't have 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we were talking about him getting bumped out of bump day. This year, we're thinking about him maybe doing it. Even though he's starting at 28th on Sunday, he's got a lot of shoes to fill with, of course, his dad and, of course, the fact that his family has waited a long time to win this race. That he's heavily relying on his crew to leapfrog cars on the pit road this year. He really is. If they can do no wrong, they can do no wrong. They were supposed to basically show up with their lightning fast hands at the Oscar Mayer Pit Stop Challenge with a lot of plans, but Mother Nature had other plans today as rain moved and forced the first Pit Stop Challenge cancellation today since 2008, which is really, rain was really in the forecast today, and rain's going to be bothersome all the way until Sunday, maybe until Monday when people are leaving. Excuse me, just remember that for when you're going to be driving out of the track. It might be raining afterwards, and it might even be raining so much that the race is canceled until Monday or Tuesday. If it's a downpour slop like it has been in recent years, we didn't even have recent years, since 2024. 2024, that race was not canceled, but it was moved to 6 p.m. that night. And if you're an F1 fan, you're biting at your nails wondering, okay, if they're going to cancel this race till at least 5 or 6 or even until the next day, am I going to be able to watch F1? If you're going to the Coke 600, which again will already be an emotional sight, it really will not be a happy sight to be in. It's going to be a sad, somber, emotional sight, maybe quiet. Fans will be excited, yes, but the mood is so down right now in the NASCAR world. Maybe Catherine Legg, if she could win the Coke 600, might brighten a little bit of things up. But hopefully, like we mentioned earlier, it's still very unexpected that even happened. And we just are still grieving. We're still grieving Kyle Busch, but there will be rain in the forecast as well for that race. And you have to remember that race is going to be as emotional and as painstaking as you think it is. But the rain is going to really be a damping factor on that. Speaking of that, that means a lot of teams have to change tires, change fuel, change oil, and really readjust. As today, there was a big drama, as we mentioned earlier, at the Wienie 500. The 2-lap race featured all 6 Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles, and in an interesting thriller of a finish with some very big wieners. The New York Dog, as we mentioned, executed a brilliant last lap pass on the backstretch to edge out Chili Dog and last year's winner, Slaw Dog, as you just cannot make this stuff up. It was just a thrilling finish, as we mentioned earlier. As we get back to the real cars here, there were a lot of storylines that are going to be really intriguing going into Sunday. Besides earlier, we mentioned we mentioned Graham Rahal. We're going to mention Santino Ferrucci, who's making the 100th career IndyCar start in this race. Ferrucci is a freak of nature at the Indy 500 with 7 starts, 7 top 10s, and a 3rd place finish 2 years ago. He's also starting as the 5th driver entry in the AJ Foyt Racing saga for this season's race, not an off time, but in this season's race. And if he wins, he will break a 13-year winless drought for AJ Foyt Racing. Then Marcus Ericsson's another guy you got to keep an eye on. Of course, he'll be starting 17th, as Marcus Ericsson is looking for a massive shot of redemption and has won in last winning in 2022. Lost by a fraction and when he was 22 years old, and then at 23 years old, he was crowned And then at 2020, hold on one second. Trying to get my thoughts right here. Then Newgarden, where he lost to second place against Newgarden. That's what I was thinking of. And last year, he crossed the finish line second, only to be disqualified the next day for a technical violation. He admitted today that the disqualification was a total gut punch that derailed his whole season, and he's highly motivated to get that confidence back on Sunday, which I hope he does. I really hope he does. Marcus Ericsson, you have to remember, won the Indy 500 in 2022. And during that time, he was very confident in his car, but at 22, he lost by a fraction of an inch to Joseph Newgarden. And in 23, he was able to basically be disqualified that year, which was what I was mentioning, was that in 2022, he wins it. Then in 2023, he got crossed by Joseph Newgarden. And then in 2024, he didn't have a very outstanding finish. But that was basically big storylines for today. But really, Marcus Ericsson, we're hoping he could at least have a top 15, top 10 finish at the end. But it really is going to be a lot to take care of for that car. He's not had the best of career since winning the Indy 500, a little close to 4 years ago. And we hope the best for him and all drivers this season, as they are going to be competing in the Indianapolis 500-mile race. And if you needed any more proof that the Indy 500 is a global, out-of-this-world event, the garage has had a very special visitor today. As Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, who literally just circled the moon last month on the historic Artemis 2 mission that took place all the way back, I think it was in March, but was hanging out in the Canassie garage today. He was seen chatting with Alex Palou, probably Pat Elward, but Alex Palou, and even sat on the pit stand with a headset during practice today. I guess when you're used to traveling at least thousands of miles an hour toward the lunar surface, a 228 mile per hour lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway feels just as home to you as it does over in space. What a very big coincidence today. There was a lot of big storylines, big and small, happy and sad, delightful and refreshing. But the wait is almost over, folks. The next time these cars will fire up, it is for all the marbles, literally. Live coverage starts of the Indianapolis 500 on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on Fox. There will be no blackout in Indiana. So if you were curious, we did mention this in another podcast. There will be no blackout this year because the race had gone over capacity. If it wasn't at capacity, there would have been a blackout. But this year, there's no blackout. As this year, Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser will wave the green flag at 12:45 p.m., weather permitting. Caitlin Clark will be the Grand Marshal of the Indianapolis 500 this year. And if you're in the college football like I am, Kurt Signetti of the Indiana Hoosiers is going to be the one driving a pace car this year for at least the first lap or two, and then docking his way back to the pits, where he gets to drive the pace car at a blistering speed. The 2025 national champion, college football champion, will be taking control of the race car, of the pace car this year. And it was a deserving honor for someone like him, especially him and Caitlin Clark, who have both made generational impacts in the state of Indiana. And many of you are like, oh, well, who's Kurt Signetti? Like, Kurt Signetti led us this season to the 2025 national championship and won the championship against the Miami Hurricanes 27-21. And not only is that a huge deal, but this will be the first time an IU head coach of any capacity will probably be racing the pace car all throughout the track or doing something this big, I think, since Bob Knight. I hadn't even looked through the archives to see if that's even true. But if it is true, I think Bob Knight might have been at this race either as a guest or something of that, but never driving a pace car, never waving the green flag, never saying, driver, start your engines, or any of that. Never even singing Back Home Again in Indiana. I want to know in the polls, what tradition would you like to sing or do if you ever were a celebrity and had the chance to be at the Indianapolis 500. That poll will be available on Spotify podcasts, as we'll be back again tomorrow talking about a little bit more detail going into the race, Legends Day, all that stuff. We used to have the whole Legends Day special last year, but since I'm not going to the race this year due to financial circumstances, we're going to reduce the amount of that. We're just going to hype people up this year. That's basically all we're going to be doing. And we just hope that everybody not only enjoys themselves today, tomorrow, and Sunday, but we hope everybody is safe. And we want this tonight, when this is uploaded at 10:30 p.m., to really enjoy themselves. That was the best time of my life when I went last year. I know I've heard a lot of people on Twitter talking about different safety tips and different tips about what to do at the Indy 500. And I'm just saying, a lot of people don't know how to behave beforehand, but a lot of people will learn how to behave as soon as they leave that track. A lot of people are coming for the first time. Shout out to Snapback Sports. Snapback Sports is going to be there at the Indy 500 this year. Nate Spraggle, who's a part of the Indy 500, or part of an Indiana podcast, will be flipping burgers on turn 3. And then there will be other vendors and merchants camping out and doing whatever they want to do and basically hand out food, drinks, and having such a great time. Get your snacks ready, pick your drivers, and enjoy the race, because we'll be back right here tomorrow to basically talk about the race itself. Sunday we'll be back for a instant reaction, and Monday we'll be back to break down every single lap, the strategy calls, and celebrate the newest winner of the Indy 500 and the newest face of the Borg Warner Trophy. Until then, everyone have a great night. Enjoy yourself. If you're in Indy, I know the rain's going to be a lot, so bring a poncho, bring lawn chairs if you're going to sit in the infield, relax, have a great time. That's all I really expect from a lot of people, is just have a great time. Just enjoy yourself. If you're anxious about this race, which a lot of people suffer with anxiety, just having 350,000 people will literally feel like nothing the longer you're there. It's just like everything else. It will feel like absolutely nothing when you're there. But it will also be like a magnitude, like a magnet. You just will not, all the racing traditions are just so cool and so cherished. You would want to do this again and get tickets for the rest of your life and be able to afford to go to this race. Many people don't get the chance to do this, but you're one of the lucky ones. I'm proud of you made it this far. And if this is your first time, we hope you have a great time. If this is your 15th time, we hope you also have a great time. We hope everybody has a good night tonight. Rest, sleep, attend Legends Day tomorrow. If you have access to Legends Day, which is free to the public, you can get autographed cars signed. You can get autographed, basically, shirts, hats, and have your favorite driver meet you, and you can take a selfie with them. Or if you're in the paddock area, you can then see some of the cars that are going to be racing that day. But remember, it could get hectic over there because there's race teams in and out, in and out, in and out. And that'll be around, I think, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Is that when that's going to be around? Then they'll also have a large press conference around 2, where they will have drivers answer questions from fans. Fans asks questions to drivers. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. And I really enjoyed my time last year at it. We hope you do too. Keep the pedal to the metal, folks. Have a great night. Rest in peace to Kyle Busch. And let's go racing. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.